Imagine finally breaking free from a toxic relationship, only to be found dead just days later. Your death ruled a suicide, but the evidence tells another story. What if you had already warned your loved ones that if something happened to you, it wouldn't be by your own hands? This is the chilling case of Micah Miller, a woman whose final months were filled with fear, surveillance, and desperate cries for help. Was her death really a suicide, or was she silenced forever? Welcome to Crime Tales Across Times, where we uncover real crime stories that leave you questioning everything. Today's case is one that has sent shockwaves through a small town, leaving behind unanswered questions, disturbing evidence, and a grieving family demanding justice. Micah Miller was a bright, ambitious woman with a passion for helping others. She had a warm smile, a strong faith, and dreams of building a meaningful life. Her connection with John Paul J.P. Miller began when she was just 14 years old. J.P. was a youth pastor at Solid Rock Church, a place that played a major role in both their lives. For years, their relationship remained distant. Micah went on to build her own life, pursuing her education, developing her faith, and eventually marrying Jeremy, a man she deeply cared for. But things took a drastic turn when JP re-entered her life. Despite being married, Micah and JP began an affair, a decision that would change everything. Both of their marriages crumbled, and in 2017, Micah became Mrs. Micah Miller. With that, she stepped into the role of a stepmother to JP's 5 children and the wife of a man whose dark side was only beginning to reveal itself. At first, things seemed fine, but soon, Micah found herself trapped in a cycle of control, isolation, and fear. On April 27, 2024, a fisherman on the Lumber River in North Carolina heard something chilling. A woman crying. Her sobs lasted for several minutes. And then suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Then, silence. Authorities were called immediately. When officers arrived, they discovered Micah Miller's lifeless body near the water's edge. A single gunshot wound to the head. Nearby, her purse, phone, and a recently purchased handgun were found. The coroner quickly ruled it a suicide, but to those who knew Micah, something didn't add up. Micah's family and friends were the first to speak out. They knew she had no reason to take her own life. She had been making future plans, working hard toward leaving JP for good. She had recently moved to Kansas, hoping for a fresh start. But just days before her death, she mysteriously returned. And then there was her chilling warning. Weeks before she died, Micah had told her sister, "If I end up with a bullet in my head, it wasn't me, it was JP." Those words now haunted everyone who loved her. JP wasn't just an ordinary man, he was a pastor, someone the community trusted. But behind closed doors, he was a different person. According to multiple sources, JP had been manipulative, controlling, and even abusive. Church members whispered about his dark side, but no one dared to speak up. Micah had tried to leave him multiple times. Each attempt was met with resistance, stalking, and psychological torment. He installed GPS trackers on her car, not once, but twice. He forced her into mental health treatment, not because she needed it, but to discredit her and make her seem unstable. He spread rumors about her in church circles, isolating her from those she once called friends. But despite all these red flags, nothing was done. JP's troubling past didn't just start with Micah. he had a criminal history, including DUIs, reckless driving, and disturbing behavior dating back to 1998. He was known to engage in financial fraud, manipulating church funds for personal gain. There were rumors of multiple affairs, women from the church who had allegedly fallen victim to his charm and manipulation. And then there was another suspicious death. A wheelchair-bound church member died under mysterious circumstances, and some began to wonder if there was a pattern. But through all of this, JP had never faced serious consequences. Before we continue, if you find these true crime stories as important as we do, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Your support helps bring justice to untold stories and keeps these cases in the public eye. Now let's dive into the final hours of Micah Miller's life. Surveillance cameras captured Micah purchasing a firearm hours before her death. Then she made a cryptic 911 call. "I just want my family to know where to find me." Was this a message? A warning? Or was she being coerced into saying something to frame the narrative? JP had an alibi. He was at a sporting event in Charleston when Micah died. But her family and friends believe his control didn't require physical presence. Had his manipulation, threats, and psychological torment driven her to the point of despair? Or worse, was she forced to buy the gun, framed to make it look like a suicide? Micah's family refused to attend her funeral at Solid Rock Church, the very place where JP preached. Following Micah Miller's death, the Robeson County Sheriff's Office launched an investigation into the circumstances surrounding her demise. The inquiry included: the autopsy revealed that Micah died from a single gunshot wound to the head. Forensic experts analyzed the crime scene, collecting evidence such as fingerprints, DNA samples, and bullet casings. Investigators spoke with Micah's loved ones, gathering information about her relationship with Pastor John Paul Miller, her mental state, and any potential conflicts or threats she may have faced. Authorities examined Micah's phone records, revealing a pattern of frequent calls and messages with Pastor John Paul Miller. Surveillance footage from nearby cameras was also reviewed, showing Micah's movements in the hours leading up to her death. Investigators verified Pastor John Paul Miller's claim that he was at a sporting event in Charleston at the time of Micah's death. While his alibi checked out, some witnesses reported that he seemed nervous and agitated in the days leading up to Micah's death. After conducting a thorough investigation, the Robeson County Sheriff's Office concluded that Micah Miller's death was, in fact, a homicide. However, due to insufficient evidence, no criminal charges were filed against Pastor John Paul Miller. The investigation revealed a complex web of deceit, manipulation, and control, with Pastor John Paul Miller at its center. While the evidence suggested that he may have played a role in Micah's death, it was deemed insufficient to prove his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. In a surprising twist, Micah's family reached a settlement with Pastor John Paul Miller in a probate court hearing. The terms of the settlement remain confidential, but Micah's family has stated that it provides them with a sense of closure and justice. The case remains a source of controversy, with many questioning how Pastor John Paul Miller could have avoided criminal charges despite the overwhelming evidence of his involvement in Micah's death. The investigation's outcome has sparked outrage and calls for greater accountability in cases of domestic abuse and homicide. To this day, questions remain. Why did Micah return to North Carolina just days before her death? What was the true nature of Micah's relationship with JP? Did JP's history of manipulation, control, and abuse play a role in Micah's tragic demise? The case of Micah Miller serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of domestic abuse and the importance of believing victims. It also highlights the need for greater accountability within institutions, such as churches, where power dynamics can be exploited. We want to hear from you. Do you think Pastor Miller was involved in Micah's murder? Should he have faced justice for his actions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Join us next time on Crime Tales as we explore another shocking true crime story. Stay safe, stay aware, and always trust your instincts.